you've either thought about, are considering, or want to become a stay-at-home mom. And there's a lot to consider, and it is a lot more complicated than it seems. And there's certain things you have to think about before you take the leap. But before I get into all that, let me welcome you back to my channel. My name is Ayanna, and this is Beyond Committed, where we talk about everything from life, faith, family, marriage, motherhood, and everything in between, and we take them beyond. If this is your first time here, welcome, and I'm so glad you stopped by. And to make sure you're not a stranger, make sure you press that subscribe button below and then turn on your notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now let's dive right in. We make so many decisions, some big and some small, and the older we get, the more complex the decisions seem to become. You know, in high school, who are you going to go to prom with seemed like a really big decision. And then you're graduating high school. Where am I going to go to college? What am I going to study? What is the career I want that's going to, enter me into the real world and I'm going to really become a grown-up? And then am I going to say yes to him? Am I going to say I do? And planning your wedding? I mean, those are big decisions. And then if you decide you want to have kids, okay, when do we want to start trying and all of these things? And then when your child comes along, comes an even bigger debate. It's like, okay, should I stay home or should I not? I mean, and the decision is not easy, and the right decision for everyone is going to be different. But if you are considering becoming a stay-at-home mom, which I have been, and which was one of the best decisions I ever made, but it was not an easy one, and it was one that I wished I had this advice going into it, and I probably would have approached it a little differently. Would I have still become a stay-at-home mom? Absolutely. But I may have, come across and done things a little differently, especially with how me and my husband communicated about it. Because when I first wanted to become a stay-at-home mom, he was not having it. He was like, why would you do that? I mean, you're a pharmacist and you have this career and we're doing all these great things and we want to have this American dream. And in his American dream, it didn't incorporate me being at home with the kids. So it took a lot of prayer. It took a lot of things for us to get to the point to where I, became a stay-at-home mom, and we both love what I do for our family, but it wasn't an easy decision, and it was something that it took us a while to get to, and it took us a while to be okay with. And there was 5 things that I wish I had done that I want to share with you that were a must before any mom becomes a stay-at-home mom. The first thing that you should do before becoming a stay-at-home mom, and with any major decision, and just life in general, is to pray. Keeping God at the center of all you do, ordering your steps and all that is so important, because it is going to be a big life change for you and your husband, for you and your child, for your family as a whole. So it's so important that you are allowing God to lead and guide it, and realizing that God may have something bigger in this for you, or God may not have it at this time. There's so many different things that go into becoming a stay-at-home mom that you want to make sure that it is a God-centered decision, and also that you have a peace about it, because it may not be an easy decision, and it may not be a decision that everybody agrees with. For instance, when I first wanted to become a stay-at-home mom, my husband was not on board. He was like, he didn't understand it. He didn't see that as our plan and all of this. And it's because God had put it on my heart. So our plan kind of shifted when God put that on my heart. So it took a while for my husband to come to peace with it. And I had to seek God daily. So God gave me a peace about what he was calling me to do, because it was not the same plan or the same vision my husband and I initially had for our marriage. And it wasn't an easy place to be, but I know that the fact that I was seeking God and staying committed to allowing God to order my steps in this, God covered me. God gave me a peace and allowed me to, see that this is what he had, but it wasn't going to be as easy as a transition as I thought. And also, you're going to need a peace because everybody around you is not going to agree either. Not everybody feels that being a stay-at-home mom is what's best for you and your family, or whatever it is. And it's so important that you are centered on what God has for you. You and your husband are centered on what God has, what's best for you and your family, and allowing that to cover and keep you, because not everybody is going to agree. Not everybody is going to be supportive, but at the end of it, as long as you both are okay with it and God is at the center of it, it will be okay whether they agree or not. And the second thing you have to do before becoming a stay-at-home mom is to make sure you are having open and honest conversations with your husband, not just leading up to the decision, but all points along the way, because you both have different thoughts, ideas, expectations, wants, needs, and all of that. And unless you express them, unless you are honest about them, they will either not be met, or they won't even be addressed because the other person doesn't even know that that's going on. So it's so important that you are continuously being open and honest with each other, because I mean, this is going to be a great big life change for you all. So it's so important that you are staying committed to staying on one accord. And it's not going to be easy all the time. There's going to be some rocky moments. There are going to be some things that you may agree on, some things you may not. And it's so important that you are united in all of it, realizing that everybody may not see things the same way, but as long as you're staying open and honest and communicating with each other, you can get through it. And then you can, adjust expectations or change what's necessary, whatever it is that's going to work for you. Because just like God created you both uniquely, He created your marriage and what a stay-at-home mom life will look like for you. And it may not look the same as anybody else's. So it's so important that you and your husband are on one accord to making sure that, okay, is this working for your family? And is this the way you want things to go on? And if there's some adjustments that needs to be taken along the way, that's okay too, because sometimes something that works now may not work later. So it's so important that before you make the decision, after you make the decision, it's so important that you are continuing to be open and honest and having conversations, because it's going to be critical for you to be a successful stay-at-home mom. And the third thing to do before becoming a stay-at-home mom is to consider your goals, your personal goals and your marriage goals, because you becoming a stay-at-home mom may change those, may, have them to be delayed or change the timeline. There's so many different things that you making that big life change will change for you. And you have to be mindful of that and honest. Are you okay with that? Are you and your husband okay with that? Are there certain goals or certain things that you had for your life that you becoming a stay-at-home mom may not have happened or may be delayed for a while? And you have to be okay with that. And you have to be honest with yourself, because I know for me, it was something that I came to easy, but my husband and I, we weren't on the same page, because he at first didn't think that I was okay with kind of putting my career as a pharmacist on hold. And I really was. I love being a pharmacist. I love patients. I love interacting. I love doing all that and going to school for a long time for it. So, it was important to me. But once I decided I wanted to become a stay-at-home mom, I realized that that was one part of my life. And I may go back to it at some point, probably in a different way in which I did it before. But it was something that I wanted to do, and something that we both had to be okay with, realizing that that meant the vision I had, or the vision he had, and the vision we had for our marriage had to change, and the goals we had and all of that. So it's so important that when you're considering becoming a stay-at-home mom, you're honest about your own goals, the vision you had for your life as a woman, and the goals and vision you have for your marriage, because this will greatly affect it. And you have to make sure you both stay on the same page and stay on one accord, to make sure you either need to, change your goals and your vision a little bit, or just realizing that they may be delayed. And remember that delayed is not denied, but you just have to be mindful of the truth and the reality of how being a stay-at-home mom may affect them. And the fourth thing to do before becoming a stay-at-home mom is to take an honest look at your finances. Now, I know money is not everything, but money is necessary for you to live. You provide for your child, for you to take care of your household, for you to plan and achieve the goals and the visions that you have for your family. So you have to be mindful of that, and realizing that living on one income is not possible for everybody, and that's okay. And it is what it is. So you have to be honest about that, and be honest about, okay, if we lived on one income, what adjustments could we make? What adjustments do we have to make? What adjustments are necessary for us to not just make this shift right now, but for us to sustain it for however long you want. And realize that, okay, maybe you're able to sustain being a stay-at-home mom for a year or two when your child is like an infant, and right before, you want to send them to daycare, or up until their school age, whatever it is. You need to make sure that you are mindful of, okay, how much is this going to cost you? What is your cost of living where you are? What are your living expenses? What do you want to save? What kind of debts do you have that you want to pay off, and all of those things? Because it is easy to say, I stay at home mom and I take care of my family. Yeah, that's great. But is your family being taken care of financially? And that may not be easy for everybody on one income. I know for us, it was a big adjustment, because I was working and then my husband was working. So we had a lot of discretionary income. So I wasn't as tight with our budget, because I'm like, okay, well, I'm going to work, and if this money is coming in, I can just make it work. But once I realized that, okay, well, if this money is not coming in and I'm not working, then I have to be more intentional about budgeting. I have to be more intentional about my random trips to Target and to the mall and all the other things that I was so used to doing, that I realized I could not do anymore in order for us to sustain the lifestyle that we wanted to live. So I had to take an honest look at not just our finances, but myself and the things that I needed to stop doing or adjust, and realize that it was going to be for a short period of time. And it was okay because it was for a bigger goal. It was because I felt that being at home with my girls was most important for us at that season. So that meant going to Target, and the mall was not as important at that season. And then over time, you just get better at managing your budget and stuff as you focus on it. So it's so important that if you are considering becoming a stay-at-home mom, or you just became a stay-at-home mom, make sure you are honest about your finances, realizing that yes, this may be a life decision that you want to make, but you have to be able to afford to do it as well. And the fifth thing to do before becoming a stay-at-home mom, and to do while you're a stay-at-home mom, is to talk to other stay-at-home moms and form a community, because it may seem a lot more glamorous and easy than it is. I love my daughters to death. They are some of the biggest blessings God has ever blessed me with. But being home with them was, especially the twins. I mean, they gave me a run for my money. But it was something that I had been slowly preparing for, because I had been talking to other stay-at-home moms before I decided to stay at home, and they were telling me, things just to be aware of, how to, I just managing my time and all that. And then when I got pregnant with the twins, I joined like a group called Moms of Multiples. And these ladies were a godsend. They kind of, loved on me and showed me and gave me tips and tricks, managing two babies at once, because that was not like my oldest daughter. I'm like, okay, I got this, infancy mother thing. I can do the newborn thing, but having more than one newborn at one time was a lot. So that's why my mommy circle was so important. So I would encourage you, if you don't know some stay-at-home moms, reach out to some online, reach out to me, whatever. There's so many different resources and tips and ways for you just to gain insight, and also get encouragement, because it's not always easy. And you're gonna need that community and that circle around you along the way when things get rough, when you're overwhelmed, when you haven't gone anywhere a while, especially like living here in Boston. The winters are long. And I know when the girls were younger, like especially once winter hit, we didn't go outside a lot. I didn't take them out a lot, because between the 3, 4, 5 layers of clothes, and then dealing with the snow and shoveling and all that, I'm like, it's just not worth it. I'm tired just trying to get out the door. So there was a lot of times where I didn't go out. So having that community of moms around me to where, okay, we're gonna, Tuesday is our go out day. We're going to bundle up and we're gonna go meet our mom friends, and their girls can play and everything. Or I had phone calls and FaceTime and all those things. It's so important that you have that community, you have that village. And as you decide to become a stay-at-home mom, be intentional about building that village early, because you never know what piece of information, tips, tricks, and tools that they can give you that won't just help you make a decision, but also help you to have a healthy and happy stay-at-home mom life. All right, that's it for today. And I want to know, are you a stay-at-home mom? And if not, have you ever considered it? Let me know in the comment box below. And if you like this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up, and then make sure you press the subscribe button and turn on notifications so you don't miss a video. All right, now until I see you again, bye.